After responses from my survey, I found that some parents tend to forego training because of the lack of time and finance. So I was wondering if it was possible for parents to re-socialize their dog without professional guidance or training. If yes, are there any tips or advice for parents wanting to promptly re-socialize their dogs? What are some things these parents should never do? Okay, so the first one, this is going to be the most loaded of all of them. I kind of briefly read through these questions yesterday. This one is kind of broad, and again, getting back to like the question we just answered here, context is so important with this, because here's the thing, right? Under socialization can look like so many different things. You know what I mean? Under socialization could just be a dog that's just like a little fearful and skittish around people, and like when guests come over they kind of hide in a corner, right? And you know, with other dogs they kind of just like, I don't know, just kind of give them the side eye and walk away and stuff like that. Under socialization could be dogs that take that fear and display it in reactivity, right? And making a big, you know, making themselves seem really puffed up and tough and stuff like that, and barking out at people, obviously. Under socialization can be dogs that actually have aggression issues, right? Which aggression I define as intent to do harm, right? Like wanting to actually bite your guests, right? Wanting to bite other dogs or attack your guests or attack other dogs, right? So without knowing that, it's hard to clearly answer the question as far as, is it possible for them to re-socialize these dogs without professional guidance, right? I would say 9 out of 10 times, there is a lot that can be done on your own, right? The problem is there's so many variables to these types of situations, right? Every dog is to some extent an individual with things, right? Meaning that their issues are going to be stemmed from all sorts of different variables of triggers, right?
Yeah.
So, first thing that I recommend is, if you can't get full professional help with things, right? Your next best thing that you would want to look for is if you could get some virtual guidance from somebody, right? So I do virtual consults, for example, right? I charge $150 an hour. I hop on Zoom with somebody. We could spend an hour going over all of their problems that they have, and we can come up with adequate solutions or things that they could start doing immediately that will help improving on those problems. Now, is that as good as somebody coming into the facility for a 10-session program or doing a 4-week behavioral modification board and train program? No, because there's a lot more we're going to be able to do hands-on with the dog, obviously. But 75% of the training is for the owner, not the dog, right? 75% of the training is them understanding their dog and understanding the concepts of why their dog is displaying the behaviors that they're displaying, right? And when it comes to bites in particular, if we're referring to those types of things, 90% of bites that I see are usually provoked bites, meaning they could have been prevented like that, right? Very infrequently do we see dogs that seek out aggression and go up to people and intimidate them and bite them, right? 9 out of 10 times, dog is scared, right? Dog is trying to keep the person away from them, and the person is not being respectful of that, which is why the dog ultimately bites. Now, that's not all the time, right? But most of the time, that's what I see with these types of things, right? Obviously, professional training is expensive, right? So doing, hands-on training with a trainer in facility, it's going to be pricey, right? I am totally empathetic to that. Also, training does take some time, but back to what we were just discussing with the last person's question, if you're taking the right approach with things, some of the things that you need to do aren't necessarily things that you're adding to your daily list of responsibilities, where it's like, I need to add an hour of training a day that I could do with the dog. A lot of it is just changing some of the things that you're already doing with your dog, right? But all of this comes from understanding your dog's behaviors, right? So again, virtual support is going to be kind of your second best thing like that. Third best thing from that is just finding one person or one source that you know and trust, because there's so many different mentalities out there on training. Everybody's program is designed in a certain way. Everybody's philosophies are given in a certain way. So you don't want to go like, get something from this person, get something from this person, get something from this person. You want to pick one person you trust that puts out a lot of information on how to work through these issues, right? And you want to start digging into that information on your own and educating yourself as best as possible on the dog's behaviors. Right? We put out a lot of stuff as far as how to avoid dog bites, right? We put out a lot of stuff as far as how to socialize your dog with other dogs. We put out a lot of stuff as far as best practices for setting up doggy play dates with your dogs, all those types of things, where if you just educate and read a lot of those types of things, you could really get a lot of headway with your dog.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, yes, it is possible to do this without professional guidance or training, depending on the severity of things. If you have a dog that's an actual risk, right, that there's possibility for injury, whether with dogs or whether with people, my recommendation is always find professional training for that. Or if you are going to attempt to do it on your own, you have to do it 100% safely, right, utilizing a muzzle or something like that.